Alright, let's do this one more time. Did you know you can cut grass with Hypercutter? Did you know Spearow is colorblind? Oh, you did? Good. Then I'm gonna tell you some Pokemon facts you actually don't know. But they're kind of useless. You see, over the years, obscure Pokemon information has come to light. But the little things that are totally useless end up still obscure, hidden where no one would look. This video is for the ones that are so insignificant, but yet still so obscure that they deserve their own video. And our journey begins in Gen 5. In Generation 5, the method of progressing through the game is pretty similar to titles before, but there's one significant difference that almost no one noticed. At the very beginning of the game, before obtaining any badges, if you trade with another Pokemon game and get a Pokemon that knows Surf, and you press A on the water, you'll be able to surf right away. This is because for some reason, they took away the inability to use HMs without having the right badges. In Generation 5, badges and HMs are not connected in any way, meaning you could theoretically start your game with Surf, Waterfall, Strength, anything you want, and the game was prepared for this, but there are some strange instances that most players have never seen, because of how rare it would be for someone to start their game like this. The first interesting thing we can see is on Route 1. Normally when you walk over to the right, this character jumps down from the cliff and starts a cutscene with the player. But if you've ever returned back to this area later on, you'd know you can actually get to this very spot. So what would happen if we tried to get there before initiating the cutscene? Could we speak to him on the cliff instead? Well, surfing around the corner, you'll soon find that they thought of this and imposed an NPC guarding the pathway to that spot, who has some pretty funny dialogue. So as soon as we get Surf, everyone starts surfing around, huh? But if we head over to this route where you can encounter Virizion, there's a cutscene that plays in a very similar way, with Virizion jumping down from this high ledge. But there's a waterfall right next to it to get up to that spot. So if before initiating this cutscene, we waterfall up to Virizion, you can encounter it entirely the same, but all the way up here, with different scenery. It's not much different, it's the exact same, but you're up here. This is useless facts. This is something entirely undocumented that I noticed while playing Fire Red and Leaf Green. Probably the most forgotten location in this entire game is this little patch of grass here. You see, when you first get to the Sevi Islands before beating the game, this NPC is digging a tunnel, searching for gold, and he isn't finished. Once you beat the game and return back to this area, he will be finished and a small clearing on the other side is reachable for the first time. And it's literally all Dunsparce. This patch of grass is filled with nothing but Dunsparce. But that's not what's strange about this. There seems to be either a very strange feature or a glitch with this grass. See, normally when you run in any tall grass, your encounter rate is set to its normal rate of 320. But certain locations have this rate altered, like the Safari Zone, which is boosted to 400, and all caves that you enter have a lower rate of 160. Meaning it'll take more steps to find a wild encounter here. And what I believe happened with this grass is that they either purposely or accidentally used the cave's encounter rate for it, or possibly even lower. If you try running around in this grass, it takes a ton of steps for an encounter to appear, which becomes apparent if we return back to normal grass. If this was purposeful, this is the only grass like this in the whole game. But it may be a glitch, and we'll never know. Throughout the years, I've heard a lot of rumors about old Pokemon games that people swear to be true. One I'd heard was the potential for a Pokemon battle to end in a draw. As you probably know, if a battle does end with both Pokemon fainting on the same turn, it will always result in a loss for you, the player. But there were rumors that this was not the case with a single battle in Pokemon Black and White, the surprise Cynthia battle in Undella Town. If this was true, it would be insane, so I decided to test it.
I set up a team of Pokemon who can feint themselves in some kind of way. It took multiple tries, but I was able to get all of Cynthia's team down with just Spiritomb and my Lapras left. As the Parish Song count fell, so did this rumor. But this wasn't the only Cynthia rumor in Generation 5, and this next one definitely showed me a few things I'd never seen. You might remember the Croagunk Faceboard from Pokemon Platinum right outside of the Safari Zone gate. Something you may not remember is there's a small chance of triggering a Croagunk walking up to you in a small cutscene. Well, in Pokemon Black and White, in Humalao City, something very similar can happen with this Faceboard here. If you go up to the Faceboard, nothing will happen. But if you walk up to it after beating the game, a small cutscene will play once per day where an NPC will walk up to you and take a picture next to you in the Faceboard. And this is where our Cynthia rumor lies. You see, unlike the Croagunk event in Platinum, the person who comes up to you and takes a picture can change with different dialogue. After doing this a few times, there are two NPCs who don't seem to be anything notable. But there was a rumor back in the day that Cynthia could appear here to take a picture with you, but there isn't any footage of it online. So I decided to do this 100 times. Assuming it was a 1% chance or something like that, I figured this would be the best shot of it happening. Let's see what we find. Oh, yo, this is the Humalao gym leader. Oh, bro, that's cool. Interesting. Not Cynthia, but that's pretty cool. Yo. Yo, is that a Gothita? That's kind of funny, bro. That's kind of funny. Okay, that one's pretty cool. I'll take that. I'll take a Gothita. I've never seen that before. After 100 tries, it's clear this too was just a rumor. But the Gothita one is pretty cool. Victini was released through the Liberty Ticket event in Pokemon Black and White, but never had any form of release in Pokemon Black and White 2, therefore making its Pokedex entry only viewable by trading a Victini to this game. But there was a very strange glitch that almost allowed you to register this Pokemon without actually catching it at all. With such strange steps that almost seem like a complete playground rumor, this one is really interesting. The first thing we need to do to perform this glitch is to fish up and catch a Poliwag and a Marill. Then we can open our Pokedex, and if we follow these series of button presses, the game will let us reach Victini's Pokedex. We can see that its area is unknown. We can listen to its cry. But then when we try and close out and actually register it, the game just crashes. So we gain nothing. So this was indeed useless. So as I'm sure everyone watching this video knows, ever since its debut in Generation 2, Steel-type Pokemon have always been immune to poison. Poison-type moves have no effect, and it's impossible for a Steel-type to become poisoned, right? No. You see, there is one loophole in Generation 2 that allows a Steel-type Pokemon to become poisoned, and this is how. Although Poison-type moves have no effect on Steel-types, the Steel-typing doesn't protect from the actual Poison status effect itself, if inflicted by a non-poison type move, which is where the move Twin Needle comes in. Twin Needle's a bug type move that has a 10% chance to poison the targeted Pokemon. Because of that bug typing, it's able to bypass Steel's immunity and poison any Steel type Pokemon in the game. But this was fixed in every single generation after. In Gold and Silver, your sprite changes to a boat on the map when you ride the boat. That's it.
In Pokemon X and Y, as soon as you enter Route 2 and you see your very first patch of grass, you are forced into an encounter with a Pidgey. This Pidgey is not random, it's completely rigged. No matter what you do, it will always be the same Pidgey. Same stats, same nature, same level, and it will never be shiny. This was carried forth again in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, with a guaranteed Wurmple at the start of your journey this time. That is the exact same every single time as well. In Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, they however changed how your encounter happens, but it is still very rigged, but this time in a different way and in your favor. You see, when you enter Route 1, before starting the festival in Iki Town, if you just run around in this grass, the Pokemon you find are not predetermined, but their catch rate is completely messed with. No Pokemon here can break out of Pokeballs. Every single Pokemon is guaranteed to catch. This turns off once returning back to the area after the festival. But hold on, these are definitely useless, but they're not nearly obscure enough. What is the very first case of a predetermined encounter like this happening? Well, it actually happened for the first time way before X and Y, and you probably walked right into it without even knowing. The extremely obscure first case of this is in Pokemon White. After beating the Elite Four, you unlock the ability to go to White Forest, which holds tons of rare Pokemon and small patches of grass. And for some bizarre reason, the very first patch of grass you step in is guaranteed to have an encounter when you enter this area for the first time. I tested this over and over. Even with surfing, this is in fact true. Though unlike many other instances of forced encounters, this one doesn't seem to be predetermined, meaning this forced encounter is one of the only ones that can actually be shiny. Maybe. But who the hell is gonna shiny hunt that? I'm kidding. This is useless facts, dude. We're not finding this stupid first encounter thing No, seriously. Dude, I'm not hunting this. Just because it's a montage doesn't mean I'm gonna do a shiny hunt. Alright, I'll do it. Nah, I'm kidding. Let's move on. Alright, speed round. Here we go. Try to keep up, y'all. These are extra useless, so we're gonna breeze through these. Hang on. In Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, the encounter with Darkrai is almost the exact same as the originals, except one tiny useless minuscule difference. Dusk Balls have been made to be effective here 100% of the time, no matter what, if it's day or night. This was not the case in the originals, and this was added in these games. In Pokemon Black and White 2 on Route 14, you can find a Golduck in this grass here. For some reason, the lowest level you can find it is level 37 in White 2, but in Pokemon Black 2, it's level 38. Wow, that one is really dumb. In the Japanese versions of Pokemon Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, the lights right here in the Pokemon League, they strobe faster in the Japanese versions of the game than they do in the English versions of the game. Probably just fixed it over time to make it easier on the eyes, but not on the voice. Alright, we're going back over to Route 14 in Pokemon Black and White 2. Did you notice the Golduck fact, how there was no mist on this route? There's usually mist that covers this route in a thick fog, but this fog actually goes away on your real-life birthday. Some shiny Pokemon only have a very small amount of change, slightly depending on if they're male or female. The most visually striking difference of this is shiny Gyarados, which one has red whiskers and the other has white whiskers. But in the overworld and Heart Gold, the change won't show and the whiskers will always be red. I'm sure you've heard 100 times that the Pokemon move Splash was mistranslated from the Japanese word for hop, and actually has nothing to do with water. Splash is actually just hop. But did you know because of this, Splash is affected by the move Gravity, and will be impossible to use with gravity active, even though the move literally does nothing. There you go. That's the video. Bye bye now, run along, scram.
Up next on BlueBoyPhin.
Can I throw myself into the fire and crawl out? Yeah, can. I've done it before.